NFL Week 10 Thursday Night Football, classic AFC West rivalry with the Denver Broncos hosting the Raiders. Broncos lofty home faves here, 10 points in Denver, where they are 4-0 so far this season, to be fair. But we'll break down everything you need to know about this game. Broncos red hot all of a sudden, but without PS2 once again. Geno Smith coming off his best game of the season as well. Of course, we'll tell you what you need to bet for this game. Ninja here with Nick Holz. Welcome to the channel. You'll want to stick around for the picks here, because Nick is coming off an insane week. He hit the Ravens, Malik Washington over receiving yards, Seahawks -3.5, Torrey Horton, anytime touchdown, AJ Barner, anytime touchdown. I'm surprised you even showed up for work today, Nick. Great weekend.
It was fantastic, so I'm ready to keep the momentum rolling into week 10.
Yeah, and so stick around for those picks at the bottom. But before we start here, Nick, thoughts on the Raiders going for 2 in overtime against the Jags in that loss in week 9?
Oh, yeah, I think you have to go for 2 there. I mean, what's that old Al Davis saying? Just win, baby. You got to go for that. 100 times out of 100, you go for that. And especially a 2-5 team, like, what do you have to lose there, right? I mean, you look at the rest of their division. We have the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Broncos. I mean, you have to go for that. As you're a Raiders fan, you probably don't want them to win that game because it probably denies them a top 3 draft pick. But at the end of the day, it's the right call.
And a division matchup here. After starting 1-2, the Broncos, Nick, have now won 6 in a row. They're 4-2 against the spread over that stretch. So over at DraftKings, they're double-digit favorites in this one. They're +110 to win the AFC West. They're +700 to win the conference. Is this a team, Nick, that is finally hitting its stride, or are there still maybe some warning signs considering, they scraped by the likes of the Jets in a 2-point win, a 1-point win over the Giants, and, a 3-point win over and ultimately CJ Stroudless Texans last week? What are your thoughts on this Broncos team?
I think you hit the nail on the head there. There's definitely some works here with the Broncos, and I'm definitely not a believer at this point in the season. I think this Broncos team goes as far as Bo Nix takes them, and with Sean Payton's training wheels on this offense, I don't think that's very far. Nix sits 20th in EPA per play, 31st in overall success rate. I mean, you look at it, the Broncos have the 6th most passing attempts, but Nix is 11th in passing yards. He throws the ball at or near the line of scrimmage more than most quarterbacks in the league. And when it really gets down to the nitty-gritty, are you going to bet on Bo Nix to outduel some of the AFC's heavyweights? Like the guys we saw play yesterday, the Mahomes, the Allens, the Herberts. I'm not ready to put my money there yet.
So with Pat Surtain out with that left pec strain, what does this mean for this Broncos secondary? And does this maybe, Nick, open the door for some potential Raiders player props on offense?
I think it does. One caveat is the Broncos pass rushers will still be playing in this game, but I like me some Trey Tucker props on Thursday Night Football. He's got 21 targets and 17 catches over the past 4 weeks, along with 4 touchdowns already on the year. And you look at that Broncos secondary, with Surtain out, the other 2 starters for most of the year have been Jaquan McMillian in the slot and Riley Moss opposite him. Those 2 have combined to allow 4 touchdowns and just have average PFF coverage grades. So could be an opportunity for the Raiders passing attack.
Yeah, Trey Tucker has had a massive big game or 2 so far this season. So definitely one to keep your eyes on for this one. Geno Smith, coming off his best game of the season, I think, here, especially with Brock Bowers now back in the lineup. Do you think bettors, Nick, should focus on hammering Geno unders in prop markets this week, given that we might see an inflated number or 2 for this guy, given how strong he was in that Week 9 loss?
Geno's going to have his head on a swivel in this one. The Raiders, one of the worst pass blocking teams in the NFL, and Denver leads the league with 40 sacks. So you've got 189 total pressures from the Broncos front seven, and their starting D linemen of Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonito, Zach Allen, and John Franklin Myers all have a pass rush win rate above 10%. So if you're Geno, you're probably running for your life back there. He's thrown less than 180 yards 4 times already on the year. And garbage time still counts too. You saw what the Raiders did in the second half of this week's game against the Jaguars. So you've got to think that there's some opportunity for Geno to attack the Broncos secondary when they're just playing, prevent defense.
Yeah, good point with the potential of Geno playing from behind here. But let me ask you this. Is there any way that we get sort of a repeat of this Broncos offense sputtering a little bit out of the gate to start games, like they did against Houston, and especially like they did in that Giants game, which they ultimately won due to a big fourth quarter? But does this maybe open the door for some live betting opportunities with this slow starting Broncos offense?
I think it definitely does. It depends on who you're on this game. If you like the Broncos to win and the Raiders score first, you're probably going to hammer the Broncos live. If not, you're probably just going to wait and do the opposite and let your pregame bet live. At the same time, the Broncos, one of the best second half scoring offenses, obviously buoyed by that Giants game, scoring over 13 points in the second half. The Raiders, one of the worst, scoring only 8. So I'd wait and see what happens there.
Folks, if you are looking for a little extra edge in your daily sports betting, you've got to check out Prop Professor. To celebrate the start of the NBA season, you can get it at 50% off for the first month. Prop Professor drops hundreds of plus EV bets every single day, giving you a real shot at finding long-term profit instead of just guessing. So, for example, a couple of small plus EV plays still available for this one. Raiders at plus 11.5, 1.7% plus EV as of this morning, minus 135 at Hard Rock, plus 9.5, slightly plus EV as well. Even money over at ESPN Bet, just a sample of what Prop Professor does offer its users. You can sort through plays across the NFL, NBA, college football, and plenty more, all backed by data and not vibes. It has tools for arbitrage betting. It has a fantasy optimizer, so you guys at home can cover all of your angles. And if you want to give it a try, use the promo code OddsShark50 at checkout. You get 50% off for that first month. All right, Nick, you're on a bit of a heater here with your picks on your video content. Denver, a 10-point home favorite here. The total is 42.5. Those are over at DraftKings. Denver won and covered both meetings with the Raiders last season, but the Raiders covered the spread in the last 8 meetings prior to that. I know there's a lot of different phases on both of these teams. Nick, what do you like here Thursday Night Football?
I'm on the underdogs on Thursday night. I mean, the Raiders 12-3 against the spread in their last 15 against Denver. I found Vegas at plus 10 at minus 122, but definitely shop around there. Also be on Trey Tucker's receptions, receiving yards, and his anytime touchdown.